Paul, how are you doing? As always, it has been a while, and it has been a very interesting month, and I really wanted to share some thoughts about the insecurity and the instability we're going through, and some might even experience much more than that. Dark nights of the soul. And last month, September, October, that really was a period for me. So I want to shine some light on it and share some thoughts on it, and of course, what to do next. So anyway, right now I really had to get out because I didn't go out walking, hiking, and the reason for that is what I will share with you in this video. Right now I'm just doing a 10-mile hike, or I think it's less, 10 kilometers, just around the circular shots, just like 20 minutes driving. I didn't want to go too far because I've fallen out of the rhythm of allowing myself to enjoy these things, going to the country, walking, hiking and everything, which again had to do with a lot of insecurity. And I must be very honest with you, it's a very beautiful day. It doesn't feel like November. I'm walking out here in my t-shirt. It's actually quite warm. A lot of sunlight, a lot of brightness. But anyway, when I just came back to the UK in August, I was in the Netherlands for 2 weeks, and I posted a video about it, but I didn't post live because I was kind of like really moaning about my homesickness, so I decided not to post it, but I will leave it on list, so just in case you just really want to see that update of where I have been. And it's something that I've been dealing with for really quite some time, this intense feeling of isolation, loneliness, feeling lost, uninspired, not joyful, lack of abundance, lack of a lot of things. So for that reason, I tried to continue to create. I was like, I couldn't really be bothered with it anymore, because mainly had to do, of course, with my own expectations and conditions and impatience and all of that. So a lot of things were related with each other. So of course what I've been doing is, because I constantly seems to self-sabotage myself, I tend to go after security because I experience a lot of insecurity within myself. Now what we tend to do is, of course, when we experience a lot of financial insecurity, is we want to chase down, let's say, a job that promises a basic income and whatnot. And then what we tend to do is we tend to create or attract jobs that are not joyful at all. That tends to seek our life force, that seems to drain our life force energy out of us, because we are so conditioned, to go after safety, security, stability, because we are programmed with scarcity, survival consciousness. That's what mainly our mind is doing to us, survival. And this is really coming up right now in these days. So when I just came back, I mentioned in August, I mentioned that I actually was changing jobs, and I already, in my first weeks, I already was a bit like, really what I'm doing here. So yeah, it didn't really took very long for them to actually tell me, like, listen, a lot of us are getting redundant right now. And they actually came up like, listen, business is not really picking up. We need to invest in you, in educating you, training you. So what we can do is we can, only hire you for 25 hours a week, for even almost like bare minimum. And with my pride, I said, well, sorry, I'm not a student anymore, like, listen, I cannot do that for that kind of rates. So since the last month, I've been at home. Now, of course, you said, freedom. I'm going to do whatever I always wanted to do. I'm going to do my videos, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And, But the first thing is, of course, like, fear kicks in. The fear kicks in, like, oh shit, I'm missing out my basic foundation, right? Everything is like falling apart, everything is crumbling down. And for a lot of us, when we're dealing with insecurity, you're a bit like half-assing, you know, like you only do it when you feel like it, right? Instead of really disciplining yourself and stay consistent, persistent, to really push through and, you know, make it happen. So I've been half-assing with this channel since the last 4 years or so, mainly because I had an internet business before, and there's a part of me that tells me, okay, so I know about making money online and all of that internet business. However, I also got to a point where I lost a little bit my excitement for it. And then there is a part of us that actually wants to become more unconditional, right? We want to experience our root nature, the root nature of unconditional love. The only problem is that when we go through life, that core, that inner being of ourselves, there are so many names for it, it seems to get hurt, it gets to disappointment, right? It gets through different kind of experiences, painful experiences, and then we do not want to experience that ever again. So what we tend to do is we tend to build walls around that, okay? And everything what we tend to do is not to get in touch with that painful part inside of us, this emptiness, right? This void that exists inside of us. And then we constantly tend to go for distractions, right, in order to distract ourselves from that pain. In my case, what I've always have been experiencing, especially when I moved here to the UK, is that feeling of not being seen. Now, some people they get really obsessed with it, you know, and they become like obsessed with social media marketing and becoming an influencer, and they do whatever it takes just to grab the attention. In my case, I became a bit like, nah, you know, like I do things, but I still have this condition, you know, like, oh, you know, I've done something, now I want to receive incredible amount of recognition and appreciation and validation and rewards and all of that, and this high expectation is not being met, and then I go into my depressive stage, like, oh yeah, no, I can't be bothered. So this pattern has been going on for quite some time, especially since last month I've been at home. I was really getting in a stage of, you know, I don't want to do anything anymore, you know. And what I've been doing is, of course, is go after that safety and security thing, right? Going after stability, because I always felt like, especially as a Pisces, as a hypersensitive, empathetic individual, I'm always a little bit more airy-fairy up there, right? Going with the flows and the energies and the currents of life, yet never really feel very grounded. So especially here in the city and the noise and everything, this ungroundingness is sometimes really catching up with me, which get me in that creative flow and being able to get my creative inspirations actually out there, right? Get it out in the world. And then what we tend to do is to constantly distract ourselves. In my case, you know, like, oh, I feel bored, I feel hopeless, I don't feel inspired, I'm at home, I send 3, 4, 5 applications a day, I constantly get rejected, get no answer, I feel invisible, I feel unseen, you don't get appreciated, and I feel undervalued. And so, you know, eventually you get to a stage, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm invisible, I don't matter, you know, I'm unworthy, I'm all of this. And then, you know, before we know it, we just find ourselves in some very addictive behaviors to move away from that pain, right? So for many of us, these distractions can mean all sorts of things, you know. Some like to waste times and hours into distracting themselves with entertainment or social media or alcohol or drugs or sex, or the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so in my case it always has been, you know, like video games. I always used to do that as a child, and now we are dealing with healing our inner child, you know. This still plays a big role, and even I'm already like 34. So yeah, these things plays a very big role, and it's a really big time for that, you know, because so many of us, we lose our jobs, businesses get shut down because, you know, of all the rules, the restrictions, the economy is stagnating and all of that. So what has really been catching up is that for the last centuries, or perhaps even longer than that, you know, the world we live in is like, the energy has been very unstable, right? Lots of masculine energy, of always getting out there and materializing things and all of that. Now, you know, because the energy is changing, you know, planetary alignments, you know, new energy is coming from the cosmos and all of that. So what's happening is that the world wants us to slow down. You know, it's like a new kind of feminine energy that is coming at us, and we are so conditioned to do a lot of certain things in a certain way that this new energy is like really disrupting us, right? It's really disrupting us. It's breaking through patterns, it's breaking through old habits, it's crushing down our self-image, our personal identities, to dive deeper within ourselves. And that scares the crap out of us, literally. You know, our insecurity, our stability, all of that is being crushed, you know. And this new feminine energy is like, it's also very creative energy, you know, like it's very empathetic, nurturing, and it wants to create from within, from an inner stillness, right? It wants to, you know, act from a state of unconditional love and care for ourselves and for others, the planets and whatnot. And I'm always asking, like, what the heck I'm doing here in this country, in the UK. I feel I'm missing my home, I'm homesickness, and, you know, I want to go back to my country. But is that really the case? Because I've been trying so, I've been doing so, I've been looking for jobs there as well, and none of these doors are really opening for me at the moment. Of course, I feel like, you know, I've got my family there, I got more friends there than here in the UK and London, because everybody is, you know, busy with themselves. So for me it's like fucking difficult to have a social life here. So again, that's really, especially when you're an introvert, and introverts right now, you know, like when things get tough, the first thing an introvert does is, you know, go within, right? It doesn't really go out there. And now with the restrictions, the lockdowns, social isolation, it's becoming even tougher, right, to have that connection with others. But should we be dependent on finding our happiness around others instead of becoming happy with ourselves? Of course, it sounds cliche. My point is, where I'm heading is these new energies is really disrupting a lot of how we look at ourselves, and it has been going on for me personally since 2012, and even before that already. And I think we also are developing or stepping into a new kind of awareness, a new kind of consciousness, that we want to experience a new kind of connection. Especially, you know, when we go through crisis and conflicts and, you know, the political chaos that's currently going on, and all these crises, you know, again, we're going through a very intense separation. And because we go through that separation, it also happened after any kind of war, you know, we always come to a relaxation, like, listen, is this really who we are, and this is really who we choose to be and become? Or do we choose to become someone or something else? Do we see that's what we have been doing so far, is it still working, and do we really want to still operate within these systems, or do we want to act from a different state of consciousness? So to sum it up, you know, how to overcome insecurity, fears, instability, and you know, align yourself more with, of course, with who we really are and who we choose to be, is what I've noticed. And probably that's the reason why I'm in the UK, because during my months, it's not like I've not been doing anything at all. I mean, I have been meeting a mate, and we have been catching up with shamanic practices and that sort of things. Also, I've completed a very interesting and fascinating documentary on Gaia called Initiation, and that really talks about the different dimensions and ancient civilizations and where humanity is really coming from, going back from Atlantis and civilization even before that. But what resonated really with me is all over the world, you know, because I've done Reiki as well, just like we have all these chakras, points, meridians, the earth has that as well. And a very important one, well, they all are important, but there is a chakra point here in the UK, in Glastonbury, which is the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is all about, you know, unconditional love. And from there's also like an energy point or a lew line, of course, going through Glastonbury, Shaftesbury, Stonehenge, Avebury, going all the way to the southwest of the Netherlands, in my region where I was born, Zeeland. And that's why I feel like I feel so connected to that place. But yet here I am in the UK, wondering what the heck I'm doing here, because I don't feel I'm part of this society. I feel like I do not fit in. I'm here as a traveler, as a visitor. I don't really feel connected or grounded with this place, yet here I am. And while I'm here in the Netherlands, I felt, let's say, I call it more empowered. But actually I felt much more of a masculine energy up there. Okay, and here I don't really feel let's say less masculine, less the need for, you know, less entrepreneurial, let's say it in that way. Less like I want to really get out there. And here I feel like there's nothing really out there that can really satisfy me, so I'm turning within. And perhaps that's really the realization that we're coming to, is that we really want to get in the stage of unconditional love for ourselves and share that realization with others. I think that's really the point we are going to, and I'm going to leave it at there, is that's where we want to be at and act from, in that realization. And yes, to get there, to experience it more, to integrate it more, we sometimes have to go through these crises to realize who we do not longer want to be. So let me I just want to ask you, you know, your thoughts. What do you think about these visions, and you know, what is that you currently experience at the moment? How is this crisis affecting you in this moment? And you know, what kind of realizations are you gaining out of this? Please let me know by dropping a comment below. And if you want to check out Gaia as well, I will leave a link below, and then you can go and check out this documentary yourself. It's very inspiring. I really loved it. So I will stay a member and check out more of their stuff, because it's you know, another way of expanding our mind and awareness. Anyway, take care for now, and see you later.